This is, I think, class number 2 or 3, right? So look this one. Mm, we studied about heart, right? Heart contains mainly four chambers, right? One is, as I said earlier, the above part. The above part is atrium, and is ventricle. And if it's a right part, right atrium, right ventricle, left is a left atrium, left ventricle. And there are tubes which is started from here, right? And there are veins between these right atrium, right ventricle is a by tricuspid valve, and there is a valve. This is a bicuspid valve, and also, and there are tubes which is started from here, from left ventricle, that is aorta or pulmonary artery, sorry, aorta or systematic artery, and there is another tube which is started from here, that is pulmonary artery, and other tubes which carries the blood from into the heart. There are two tubes which is started from here, that is pulmonary veins, and also the vena cavas. There are two vena cava which is starting from here, and that is what this is superior vena cava, this is inferior vena cava. And up to now we have studied this one in that human heart, right? In that human heart, if you look at the nodes, wait. If you take the notes and look, up to now we have discussed about this one, the arteries, upper chambers, arteries, and right atrium, right ventricle, and left atrium, left ventricle, and the tricuspid valves, right? We studied this one, tricuspid valve, and Tabit, don't draw. Okay, fine. Okay, look, the valves between these right atrium and the right ventricle is a tricuspid valve, and the function of this valve is allows the blood flow from right atrium to right ventricle only. As I said earlier, and if that is a heart and there is a valve between these right atrium and right ventricle, that valves allows the blood flow from right atrium to right ventricle only. That's a very important one, right? So it because of the valves, the blood cannot go back flow. It cannot go back, right? So simply I can say that allows the blood flow from right atrium to right ventricle. And bicuspid valve, the bicuspid valve also present between left atrium and the left ventricle. Between left atrium and left ventricle, there is a valve, and that is called a bicuspid valve. Present between left atrium and the left ventricle, and the function is what? Actually, it allows the blood flow from left atrium to left ventricle. So normally these valves allow the blood flow from one way. If you take your cycle tube, if you what's that? If you supply the air to the tube, then will that if we use that valves in blood in cycle tube, right? Will the air will come back? Never, right? It will never happen. So if you take the tube only, it will happen. So valves only allows the one way move direction, one way flowing. So that's the point, right? So as I said earlier, look at this one. The valves is what? Allows the blood flow from left atrium to left ventricle only, because it cannot go back. I hope you will got this one, right? And also, okay, let's move to next one. If you take out the arteries, we also discussed this one, arteries. There are two types of arteries which is starting from heart. One is systematic artery. Another name for systematic artery is aorta, or another name for aorta is systematic artery. And it starts from left ventricle. As I said earlier, if it's a heart, and it start from what? Start from left ventricle. Start from left ventricle. And as I said earlier, aortic semiluna valve present at the starting point. Here, if you have a starting point, aortic semiluna valve present. The valve which is present, semiluna means, as I said earlier, luna means Sandhiran. So semi means half. Semi means half. So semi-luna means in Tamil aray madi value. Luna means Sandhiran. The same word of Sandhiran is madi. So aray madi value. So you can find here aray madi value. And the function of this one, transport oxygenated blood from all over body. Look, if I say this is a heart, and if you have these blood tubes, that is systematic artery, which is starting from left atrium, and this left atrium, this is systematic artery or aorta. This aorta is transporting blood to all over body. We will be talking about how it is transporting. And what type of blood? Oxygenated blood. Oxygenated means what? The oxygen presence blood. So the function of this systematic artery or aorta, we can say systematic artery, is transport oxygenated blood to all our body cells. I will explain later very clearly about this. And second one, the pulmonary artery. One of the main artery which is starting from heart is a pulmonary artery. In Tamil, Swasapainadi. In Tamil, Swasapainadi. And from this heart, there are two main chambers, and the four main chambers. It is starting from right atrium. So it starts from not right atrium, right ventricle. And pulmonary semilunar valve. Here also, this is a pulmonary artery. And a semilunar valve present here. And we can call this one pulmonary semilunar valve present at the starting point. This is the starting point. And this semilunar pulmonary arteries, I already said this pulmonary artery will be branched as two. There are two branches. One branch goes to right lungs and another branch goes to left lungs. Pulmonary artery means in Tamil Swasapainadi. So this Swasapainadi will go to Swasapai, we can say lungs. So if it goes to right side, that right lungs, and if it's go to left side, left lungs. Hope you got this one. So what is the main function of this one? I will explain this one. Transport deoxygenated blood from heart to lungs. We will be I will explain this one, deoxygenated, and what is that later. Right? So this is how you must talk about this, the vena cavas. Next one. So what is that? Actually, you must know the what is that? Veins, the valves, and the veins. Next one is fine, right? Okay, fine. Vena cavas. Vena cava, which means in Tamil Perinalangal. Perinalam.
நம்ம ப்ரோக்ரஸ் பண்ணி தமிழ் 4
right? Vena cava means perunalangal. And this vena cava is two types. One is, if you look at this one, it's a superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. These superior vena cava or inferior vena cava start or opens where, this is wrong, it opens to where, right atrium. So these vena cava start from right atrium, and the function is transport deoxygenated blood from lungs into heart. It start deoxygenated blood from not from blood cells to heart, into heart. I will explain, don't worry. And the next one is pulmonary veins. We studied earlier also. If it's a heart, as I said earlier, this is a right, left ventricle, left atrium. There are two veins which is starting, coming from lungs. There are two pulmonary veins present. Right pulmonary vein start from right lungs, and left pulmonary vein start from left lungs. It should be left lungs. And both are open. These left are pulmonary veins and the right pulmonary veins are open to the left atrium here. And the main function of this one, transport oxygenated, which means oxygenated means oxygen present blood from lungs to heart. So let's draw some of the interesting thing now. You will understand pretty clearly based on this. Wait, huh? Can you tell me who is that person was shouting? Who is that person was shouting? Remember, if you shout again, I will remove you simply. Huh? Okay. Okay, fine. Let's move now. I'm going to explain very clearly about this, how the transport of this blood tube is happening, right? So the first one, uh, please give me one time, 1 minute. Okay, wait, right? So I just want to take this here. This is the heart. Remember, I'm going to explain very clearly. Take it this. This is the heart. And if this is the heart, there are four chambers. And between this one is a left bicuspid valve. And this is a tricuspid valve. And as I said earlier, these arteries, from here there is a tube which is starting, that is a pulmonary, aorta or systematic artery. And there is a veins here, this is aortic semilunar valve. This is what? Iota. This iota is moving where? It leads to cells. It leads to cells. It will go to organ, then it will go to the tissues, and then it will go to cells. Right? If I write the cells here, here oxygenated, oxygen present blood goes to this one. Cells, if I take cells, one cell here, and if the cell used this blood, then no oxygen. And the blood is moving now through the vena cavas. It will start from here, then it will come to vena cavas. If it is coming from below part of body cells, if it's come from below parts of body cells, and that is called, simply I can say, this tube is inferior vena cava and this is superior vena cava. Both are coming and adding here. Now here, as I said earlier, it's when oxygenated blood to the cell, then cell used that blood and oxygen is removed. Oxygen is used. Then we can call this blood, the blood which is coming through these tubes, are called no oxygen blood is called what? What's that? Deoxygenated blood. Though now this blood is coming through this one, and here no oxygen blood. That blood is moving through these tubes, go where? It is going where? Tell me. It is going right ventricle. There is a tube which is starting from right ventricle, and that is actually pulmonary artery. And that pulmonary artery branched as right pulmonary artery and left pulmonary artery. And this is right pulmonary artery is going where? Right lungs. And if it's a left, then left lungs. For example, if I say this is a left lungs, left lungs, and this is right lungs. From this one, the blood is now, what is that? Here no oxygen. Here also what? No oxygen. And here also what? No oxygen. Here also no oxygen. As I said earlier, the oxygen is what taking from breath in our body cells, in our respiratory system. This is a system. Oxygen is taking out or taking into our respiratory system. In the lungs, this is right and then this is left. Now here oxygen is present. When oxygen is taking out from atmosphere, then oxygen is present here. So then oxygen present here. Oxygen present in that blood. Remember, here from this here in systematic artery, there is oxygen present. Blood is going to cells. Cells means tissue organs. From that it is coming, taking out from vena cavas. There is a small tubes which is, we'll be studying that one. Just remember this. Deoxygenated blood coming to where? Right atrium. Then it comes to right ventricle, that is also deoxygenated blood. Then oxygen is moving towards this. This is called what? What this? Pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. Which means Swasapai Nadi. This pulmonary artery is no oxygenated, no oxygen blood is moving through this one and get the oxygen in the lungs. It takes the oxygen in the lungs. Then what happens actually, the most important part happened. From this one, there are two tubes which is starting. From left lungs, this is the right lungs, and this is right pulmonary artery. Sorry, right pulmonary veins. Wait, I can take. Another veins is coming here from this. And that is a left pulmonary veins. That is left pulmonary veins. That is the point we are drawing usually. Where it is coming that? From lungs. So this is now can be called as right pulmonary veins. And this is left pulmonary veins. Now here, this guy, this blood is taking oxygenated blood because it went to lungs, so oxygen is present and it goes there. Now here this blood having oxygen. Then here oxygenated blood coming and coming through here. Oxygen is present. Remember one thing again I am talking. Look, oxygen is here, oxygenated blood here from left atrium. From that left atrium, blood is moving through this pulmonary artery, systematic artery aorta. Then it goes to cell, I have drawn here. And from that cell, oxygen is used and deoxygenated blood coming through these pulmonary veins, vena cavas, superior and inferior vena cava, deoxygenated blood coming and comes to right atrium. Then it goes to this right ventricle, and that's also deoxygenated blood. Then it goes through the pulmonary artery, and where it is going, this is lungs, it goes right and left lungs. Then from the right and left lungs, there are two tubes which started, and that is left pulmonary veins, that is right pulmonary veins. Those blood is moving through the pulmonary veins and goes and opens to left atrium. And here oxygen is taken out, or oxygen is combined with blood. Oxygen is combined with blood, and this oxygen is oxygenated blood. No oxygen blood is deoxygenated blood. Oxygen present blood is oxygenated blood. This oxygenated blood is moving from the lungs through the left pulmonary veins and opens the left ventricle, left atrium. Then it goes through the bicuspid valves and goes to left atrium. Again, going this way. It is happening. This is how it is happening. I hope you will got this one. Again, I'm saying here left atrium, and from this left atrium, the blood is moving through the aorta and goes to cells, and in that cells oxygen is used, and that is called deoxygenated blood, and oxygen is moving through this part. This is what vena cavas. And if it's a male, that is superior vena cava, male perineal. And if it's present downside, that is inferior vena cava, perineal. From this superior vena cava, the oxygenated blood coming towards the right atrium, then goes to right ventricle, then goes to pulmonary arteries, that is deoxygenated blood. Then goes to lungs, both the lungs taking the oxygen, both the tubes, the blood taking the oxygen and bringing that oxygen through the left pulmonary veins and the right pulmonary veins and opens to the left atrium. Then goes to this right ventricle. Again, it is going through the aorta. This is how this oxygenated oxygen or deoxygenated blood is moving from heart to lungs and the bodies. I hope you people got. Okay, if you like, take a screenshot. Don't scare. Payapudavana.